Everybody, welcome to Goots' Wrestling Pod. I am your host, Ray Goots, and I'm here with Andrew Lee Bro.
Hello.
How
I'm very good. How are you, Ray? Let me ask you, is it really you ready for another week of wrestling?
I am. I don't know if Saudi Arabia is ready for another week of wrestling. So I want to talk about this really quick, and then we'll get into the John Cena pipe bomb, which will tie into Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the greatest heel of all time, the greatest wrestling superstar of all time. I don't care what he says in his fucking bedroom. You're all a bunch of idiots. But last night, we're recording this week ahead of time. America bombed Iran because they're a bunch of fucking idiots. America, not Iran. I'm sure Iran's idiots too, but whatever. I just don't think they should have been bombed. But they were bombed.
Everybody's
And if you're in Iran, you'd be upset. I mean, obviously, everyone should be upset in Iran. And this weekend coming up, WWE is going to have a show in Saudi Arabia. Now, wrestling fans automatically are like, they shouldn't have it in Saudi Arabia. To me, that's a little racist on their behalf. Saudi Arabia is not Iran. However, it is much easier for an Irani revenge squad to get to WWE in Saudi Arabia than it is to get to them at Madison Square Garden. Do you think they should have, and again, this is going to be moved because when this comes out, the show's going to be like taking place. Do you think they should go to Saudi Arabia?
For safety reasons, no. We're talking about WWE's Night of Champions PLE that's supposed to take place on Saturday, June 28th at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I think for safety reasons, they shouldn't, because there's a lot of stupid people who would say Saudi Arabia, Iran, same thing. That's why, and
Dave Meltzer's
like, you think they should go?
I don't think they should go. I think they're going to go. I think the way WWE operates, Iran could make a statement that we're going to behead and raid Liv Morgan as soon as they go on the air on Peacock, and they'll still show up because they're just pieces of shit like that. I don't think they should go. If I was CM Punk, I'd be like, this is where I'm going to be CM Punk and say I'm not going. So if you want to fire me, I'll go back to AEW. I can cost Hangman the match at All In. This is where I would be like, I would pull the blood-soaked dick shit. I wouldn't go. They're going to make them go. They're going to make there could be fucking snipers waiting for them to enter the arena, and they're going to shove the wrestlers in there because they're fucking scumbags.
Can you imagine if they do go and then one of the superstars gets killed? Can you imagine?
They're going to spin that like it's a good thing.
Yeah, probably, because, TKO, right?
I don't even think it's a TKO thing. I think it's a Vince McMahon hangover thing, whereas they've got to prove a point to no one who cares. They got to prove a point that they can go and nothing can happen.
So you're saying, in your honest opinion, if Vince Jr. was still in charge, they would still go?
Yes, and I think a lot of people still have the Vince mindset, and they're gonna follow through with that. Like, Vince would go, we're gonna go.
I think you're right. I kind of agree with you. I think like Triple H would do that. He would say that and he would do it, and Shawn Michaels would
say it. But I think if you are, this is where I would say, now again, maybe fucking the U.S. government has given intel to TKO that actually there's no threat and they'll be okay. But this is an ever-evolving situation, I think. That's why, like, everything we're saying could be moot. Like, fucking New York could be a fucking crater by Friday. I say, if you're CM Punk, you say, and John Cena, I say you guys say today, we're not going. You want to pull that Vince shit? That's fine. You can have Gunther and Goldberg headline over there.
Ooh, I don't think Goldberg should go. I really don't think Goldberg should go.
Well, Gunther can wrestle Tyler Bate again. That'd be a fun match.
Yeah. If Goldberg goes, if Goldberg goes, his life is in danger. Like, Goldberg's he's not on the show.
I'm just saying that, like, make a different main event, because we're not gonna go. I wouldn't go if Cena's got like 16 days left. I wouldn't fucking go.
I wouldn't. If I was Cena, I wouldn't go. Right now the matches are Randy Orton versus whoever wins the King of the Ring tournament, Asuka versus whoever wins the King of the Ring tournament finals, John Cena versus CM Punk, Dominic versus AJ Styles, Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. I think the Samoans are fine. I don't think the Samoans are anyone who wants to attack the Samoans.
I think if someone's gonna attack, they're gonna just kill all of them or as many people as they can. But then again, the problem with that is, yes, you make a strike, but then now you're at war with Saudi Arabia because no one's going to want to do business with Saudi Arabia. If you do murder the whole WWE roster live on Peacock with Corey Graves doing the commentary, this is so ridiculous.
It's not going to be a good look for them. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not going to be.
So Saudi's going to retaliate against them. So now, and that's much easier for you guys to go back and forth. Because now because no one's going to run shows at Saudi anymore. But I think that there's only so much that the United States can do to this world until the world pushes back, and we're headed to that.
I think so. I think you're definitely right about that. Yeah.
And to a terrorist, see, it's like, well, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes have nothing to do with this. Well, that's what you think. You know?
Do you think terrorists, a good amount of them, are wrestling fans?
Yeah, I think they're fans of a lot of things. It's so easy to know about America now, and like you want to, yeah, of course. Well, also, you're a bad person if you like WWE. So obviously they love WWE because they're bad people.
They're probably like, you're. Bet the terrorists are like, I don't like Jews, but you know who I hate worse than Jews? Fucking AEW fans.
Okay. I think people think the Death Rider is a good storyline.
That's why, I hate they're the fucking worst, man. I hate that Hangman Page. You know who I want to hang? The Hangman Page. Oh, funny. All right.
Let's get into though something like, because again, that's a situation that's going to change every 2 seconds. So let's get into a situation that is not going to change, and that is that John Cena is not as good as Hulk Hogan. The pipe bomb. The pipe bomb hit on Friday. John Cena did the pipe bomb, and most fans loved it. I didn't like it. And I liked it even less when I saw Hulk Hogan walk out at Superbrawl. Now, we can get into the booking of the Roddy Piper Hogan match. That's fine. But just watching Hogan swagger out, he does like this little dance. It's like, man, this is a guy who just got it. And he's just willing to give up he just gets it, and he just is going to run with it. And John Cena does not have the balls to run with it like Hulk Hogan did. And the reason I'm saying that is because, like, if you're going to do a pipe bomb in 2025 against CM Punk, you've got to talk about AEW. You've got to talk about what happened in AEW. That's the story. That's the whole story of why he's there, because he failed in AEW, and that's what I want to hear people talk about. What say you?
I didn't do the pipe bomb because, like I told you, as soon as he got on the microphone and did that fake laugh, it was just so hokey. I had to turn it off. I can't do some shit like that. I heard a theory though. I read a theory of him mentioning Matt Cardona and Nick Nemeth were secretly called for the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick. And
just say the
Claudio, wait, did you hear this? Did you hear that Claudio Castagnoli?
I heard this theory. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Okay, why not?
Because that's too much for these fucking. They're hand feeding stuff to, like, half the WWE fans are idiots. All right. They're not going to do codes about AEW. Like, I think the only thing that was an AEW reference, I like you more than anyone you shared a locker room with. I think that's the only, like, direct AEW reference. Obviously, Claudio is also an AEW reference. I think he brought those names up because there was probably a real life beef between Punk and those three guys. All three guys kind of had pushes going on when he was there, when CM Punk was at his height of power, right? Mm-hmm. So that's probably more it. I don't think they were called for the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana. I don't.
Okay. All right. The other theory, and I share this with you as well, is that John Cena is still technically in the Funhouse.
Mhm.
and that's why he's acting all heelish, because he's storyline wise he never left the funhouse and he's still in there, and they're gonna slowly incorporate the Wyatt Six. I don't even if that's true, it doesn't mean the pipe bomb was good. It's still the pipe bomb still stinks, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because you're right, they didn't reference AEW, they didn't say anything super direct like the way CM Punk did when he was talking about the pipe bomb, right? When he did his
About
pipe
New Japan and talking about Ring of Honor and Colt
thing about
Cabana.
Ring of Honor and Colt Cabana and how Vince McMahon should be a billionaire, but who's a millionaire who should be a billionaire, but he can't because he surrounded himself with yes men and stuff like that. Just like saying stuff like that. Yeah, Cena didn't really do anything like that. Um, but I guess number one, so yeah, it's not a good promo regardless. But do you think there's any legs behind the theory that John Cena never left the funhouse, which is why he's acting like a heel?
No, no, because Bray Wyatt's dead. And he both whether he teams with Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan, that's not really going to do much with the limited time he has left. And I don't think the Wyatt Six have it. I think that the ship has sailed on that. I think it's they gave it a try because the family is in mourning, but it's not working. It's just not working. And so no, I don't think. And I think bogging down Cena with something that doesn't work when this shit already doesn't work is pointless. Now, Bray Wyatt was alive. Let's fucking go. You can even have Bray Wyatt retire, but Bray Wyatt's dead, man, and it just would bring up a lot of painful memories, and it would kind of make going down the road that Bray Wyatt did something to Cena. I think just really brings up a lot of painful memories we don't need at the end of this fucking guy's horrible retirement run. It's already bad, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if it happens. I'm actually curious if they're actually going to go there or not. We'll see.
Where?
Saudi Arabia to have that match.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't want to talk. Let's move on because there's nothing everything could be changed. I mean, what I'm saying, there could be another attack, and
Yeah,
then they
I'm
definitely
saying
don't go.
let's see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So if this was like a live podcast, I'd be like, oh, let's bring on I don't know, fucking talk about it. But she knows my name. But instead, let's go to something that we can talk about because it happened and it was awesome. And there's some weird shit that goes on this show, but I fucking really enjoyed Super Brawl 7. What
It
about
was
you?
very good. It was very good. Super Brawl 7 was WCW's February 1997 pay-per-view, and it blew WWF's February pay-per-view Final Four out the water. So many fantastic matches in it that I do recommend. Now, there was some dog shit in it as well, right?
Yes.
Let's be honest. But the good far outweighed the bullshit. So
The thing about it is, and most of the things I found to be bullshit were at the very end. But the thing about it, which is why I think AEW needs to take this formula, is yes, the ending was bullshit, but it gives you something to talk about and think about. And it leaves you talking. It's a development. It's not a good development. It's not handled well, but it's a development. And so, you get great wrestling, and then the NWO storyline progresses. Whether you like that progression, yes or no, it still happens. There's still a progression of story. You still feel like we're going somewhere. I don't know where we're going, but we're going somewhere.
yeah,
Um,
okay. It ends with a cliffhanger. Yes. Okay.
yeah, which is again, that's good. But how they do it, we'll get when we get to that fucking match. But
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I agree with you, and we'll get to that. But we're talking about Super Brawl 7. The big one will hit San Francisco when the big boys play. Get ready for the Rumble. Yes, that is the full fucking tagline for this. Put your fucking long tagline. Get ready for the Rumble. Yes, taking place February 23rd, 1997, at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California. Over 13,000 people are in attendance.
by the
200.
way,
Yes.
sorry, I was shocked because I think they run a lot of events here. This was the first pay per view at the Cow Palace. I couldn't believe because this is a famous venue for wrestling. Obviously, Ray Stevens built set the building, and it's a really beautiful building. And I'm shocked that WWF never went there, and this was the first pay per view ever. I'm shocked.
Yeah. Well, I wonder why that is. Is it too small?
No, it looks packed.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
13,000
know.
people. That's a lot.
I don't know, but it kind of becomes a WCW building because I remember them saying there were certain buildings that and it had very WCW like Southern, the Cow Palace, and then also the Palace at Auburn Hills, and also the Omni, like just very WCW names, like fancy but like Southern fancy. I know this is
Yeah,
in the West.
maybe that's why, because it's too southern for Junior.
Well, I know but it's in San Francisco. So.
I mean, not southern, too old fashioned for Junior. Maybe it was too old fashioned.
Yeah, Bobby
Junior
Heenan.
liked the new buildings. He liked the new buildings. He liked putting pay per views in like brand new buildings and stuff like that.
I know. I like, except unless you're at the Boston Gardens or
Or
MSG.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like this building. I don't. Is it still around? Can you Google that real quick and see if it's still
I
standing?
feel like the Cow Palace should still be around. Let me see.
How come AEW is not there? I think that's a must.
Cow Palace is still around. Yeah, it's still around. Yeah, it's
Why
the
isn't
San
AEW?
I don't know. That's a good question. Why isn't AEW? Maybe because it's too big, actually.
Oh, yeah, well, they have no fans
Yeah.
left, so
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Cow Palace is a
they have
building
no
that
fans.
fits like over 10,000 people. AEW can't draw that dog. You
Well,
know?
do a Lynn there next year. Do your big show, and then pay a tribute to Ray Stevens and Prince Iaukea, two icons, the Cowpats.
Actually, check this out. March 1st and March 3rd of 2023, AEW was at the Cow Palace
Oh,
for AEW
great!
my Rampage leading to AEW Revolution, which
How
the
old is that?
Revolution, the Cow Palace did the Dynamite and Rampage, but then there was their pay-per-view at the Chase Center in San Francisco. So they were just there actually. Okay.
All right, good for Tony.
All
All
right.
right, so
Good, yeah, good job.
let's get
All right.
into
Let's go over some of the numbers.
yes.
275,000 pay-per-view buys for this pay-per-view. Super Brawl 6, the Super Brawl right before this, had 210 pay-per-view but 1,000 pay-per-view buys. So this is more. They're increasing the numbers. It also blew out of the water the last month's WCW pay-per-view sold out, and it will kill WWF's February 1997 pay-per-view, Final Four in your house, out of the water with pay-per-view buys, by outdrawing it by over 100,000. So we are still in WCW reigning supreme timeline, and this is one of those. You wouldn't think it though, watching the opening segment from this. We get a cold open to the show. We don't get a graphic or intro going over the card or anything like that. No, we get a cold opening shot of Alcatraz prison. I'm like, what? I was like, in fact, in the beginning, I was like, I thought I turned on the wrong thing. I'll be honest with you, right? And then I see Piper sitting in this fucking cell in a prison that doesn't just been out of service for like decades, right? And he starts walking past these guards. His clothes is all like torn and dirty, and he's got like powder on his face for some reason. And he starts running past the guard, and he's like, he gets on this boat, and he was like, I was there at Alcatraz for 7 days. He gets on the boat and he starts yelling, Hogan, Hogan, and he starts straddling this fucking post, this pole that's on the boat that's going to the mainland. And I was like, what the fuck is this stupidity? I had to look this up. So what was going on in WCW was, in order for Roddy Piper to prepare for his match with Hulk Hogan, he locked himself at Alcatraz prison, which has been closed for a while, to prepare for his match with Hogan. So instead of training, he decided to lock himself in a prison. How does that work? Why does locking yourself in a
Because
prison help prepare
the
you for Hulk Hogan?
isolation will drive him mad, and then he'll use his insanity to take out the NWO, I guess.
Oh, okay, I guess that's so.
And this was his idea. This was his
Yeah,
idea.
this is a terrible idea. I actually had I had like, oh my God, I had really low expectations for this pay-per-view just based off of that opening alone. Thankfully, I was wrong. We go to the main arena now.
Did you notice on this show they barely talk about him doing that, and like they don't interview him before. He just comes out looking like an idiot. Like I almost feel like they all knew it was a bad idea, but I feel like Piper. I feel like Piper's the guy who runs the line, but Piper sits with Bischoff. I'm gonna stay in Alcatraz, and Bischoff tries. I said I'm gonna stay in Alcatraz, and Bischoff's like, okay, fine. You're gonna lose the match anyway, so who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Piper is the comic who runs the light, and because he needs to do this killer bit at the end that only he thinks is a killer bit. Nobody gives a fuck about this last bit that he has to do, but it's such a fucking long bit that that's why he blows the light. That's what it
He's the
is.
guy who like has this horrible idea for a show. Like if you bomb, like the fucking the host gets to like throw a pie in your face, and he like insists that it's gonna like sell out Madison Square Garden, and he puts it on at like fucking New York Comedy Club for 5 people. That's Roddy Piper with his Alcatraz. I think he probably just because The Rock came out a year before. He probably saw The Rock and he was like mad that he didn't get in it. And he's like, I'm gonna do The Rock myself. And remember the movie The Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery?
Yeah, that's exactly probably where he got it from. That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
he
That
probably like
that was
auditioned.
the, by the way, that wasn't a bad movie. I like that Rock. That was a good
Well,
movie.
that's a great movie, but I almost he didn't get it. He was probably up for the role of like one of the henchmen of Ed Harris or whatever, and he didn't get it. And he's like mad. He's like, well, then I'm just gonna do it myself. Hey,
Yeah, I can actually picture that. Actually, picture that happening.
because he's like, shit, that was a good movie.
Commentary team is Tony Schiavone, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and Bobby the Brain Heenan, and they recap what's been going on with the cruiserweight title. The former 1-2-3 Kid Six, he stole. He had stolen the U.S. title belt from Eddie Guerrero, and then later on, months later, he stole Dean Malenko's cruiserweight title. So he's been doing this thing where he just comes up randomly and he's taking people's titles. So we're gonna go to our first match. It is a cruiserweight title match. Six comes out first with the cruiserweight title, even though he is not the cruiserweight champion, versus the actual cruiserweight champion, Dean Malenko. As these guys are grappling, commentary team does let us know that Dean Malenko's father, Boris Malenko, is actually the guy who trained Six. So there's a lot of bad blood between these two guys. Dean Malenko attacks Six early on, putting on the heat, applying the moves, and the crowd is behind all his big moves. They are firmly behind Dean Malenko. Dean Malenko hits a crossbody on Six, and they both spill out to the floor. And then they get back in, and then Six hits an enziguri on Dean Malenko, or as Dusty Rhodes would call it, the tipsy toe or something like that. He goes, you know what, the tipsy toesy, right? It was pretty funny. Finally, that enziguri though does put Dean Malenko down for Six to start getting his own offense in, and getting some of the heat in. But then Dean Malenko, he gets put into a sleeper, but he gets out of the sleeper and he hits a hard backdrop suplex on Six that gets a big pop from the crowd. However, even with that big move, Six is still able to maintain control. All of a sudden, in this match, I don't know if you heard it, Ray, but there is a dueling 1, 2, 3 sucks, 1, 2, 3 sucks chant from the crowd. Yeah, that must be so annoying if you're Six, right? Six gets crotched on the top rope for a crossbody reversal that is kind of poorly done, but that's like the only time that something is not done very well. As this match is nearing the end, Eddie Guerrero, he runs down to stop Six from using the cruiserweight title belt against Dean Malenko. And Six is in the ring. He's got the belt. Eddie Guerrero on the floor. He goes for the belt, and they start doing a tug of war from the floor to the ring with the title belt. And Six, Dean Malenko, he's like comes up behind Six, and then he tugs on Six, and then he sees Eddie Guerrero, and he yells at Eddie, "What are you doing, Eddie? Stop interfering on a match." This causes Eddie to let go of the belt, and Six turns around and he hits Dean Malenko with the cruiserweight belt. Just like when that happens, Eddie Guerrero's like, "Oh my god, I fucking let this happen." He's upset that he screwed up. But that allows Six to cover Dean Malenko to win the actual cruiserweight title. I enjoyed this match. I gave it an A-. What did you think?
I loved it. I thought this was X-Pac or Six-Pac or 1, 2, 3 Scumbag. I thought it was his best match in a long time, brother. Maybe since King of the Ring '94. At least
Yes,
on
very
pay-per-view.
good match. I
This
agree.
was
It's
a
a
great
very good
match.
match.
He really is what the NWO needed. And what I mean by that is he can infiltrate the good match. Because it does feel sometimes like all the good workers are like isolated from the NWO shit, right?
Mhm.
But here he can involve. I really didn't realize how involved Eddie Guerrero was with the NWO storyline until we started watching these last 3 pay-per-views. He can involve Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and other people in the story and give them a great match. So, I think the long term vision of mine, and maybe it was Hall and Nash, they were very upset, by the way, when he got fired, is that Six gets these guys ready to eventually become the Avengers against the NWO. It's a really good position for X Pac. It makes a lot of the NWO matches. Let's be honest, they're not the best work weight rise, and this guy really adds to it. And I liked it now the new drama between Stinko Malenko and Eddie Guerrero, who Bobby Heenan was calling La Bamba. I miss the casual racism of the heel commentators. I wish that was still around. I know it never
Yeah.
will be, but I like it.
Here's something to note that I really want to mention. PWI is the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and every year they do a top 500.
Mm-hmm.
And this 1997 was a very controversial year because that title of the top wrestler in the top 500 is usually given to someone who is a world champion at the time, like a Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart. 1997 was won by Dean Malenko.
Stinko Malenko.
Yes, Stinko Malenko won the PWI Top 500 this year. So we should be keeping track of Dean Malenko's matches to see if it was deserved or not.
I
And
mean, the,
so far it is,
the
right?
thing about it is, but what we're not seeing because we're not watching the weekly shows is that he's having great matches not just on Nitro, but on WCW Saturday Night. So week in and week out, this guy's delivering, and I think it was deserved. And I think it was. I think he got heat for that. He got heat that he was the number one, from the bigger guys. They were like, "How are you?" But bro, he always does. He always delivers in the ring.
Yeah. I didn't realize he got heat for that, but he was probably thinking like, I can't believe these fucking marks are getting mad at me for a fucking magazine. I bet that's what he was thinking, right?
Well, the problem is, if the magazine said Hogan or Luger was number one, nobody would have cared. But the fact that they said it, it's like if Luger got mad, it's like if Luger got mad, he wasn't number one. The PWI Hogan was. There was what are you, a fucking mark? But then when Stinko Malenko becomes number one, what? This fucking
Yeah,
guy?
exactly. Yeah. It's such the hypocrisy of fucking wrestling. That's exactly what it is. All right. So we go to Mean Gene Okerlund after this match, and Mean Gene Okerlund is plugging his hotline, and he goes, "Hey, in a San Francisco restaurant, I saw a WCW star eating breakfast with the NWO. Who can it be? Call the hotline and find out."
I
What?
hated it because when it basically gives away the ending of the show just to sell the
Yeah.
hot. I'm wondering if he said Macho Man on the hotline, like if he called it right that second.
I wonder if you called in, they would tell you we saw Macho Man eat with them. Like I wonder if I wondered about the same thing. Like if you called the hotline, did you get spoiled, basically, right?
Yeah, but I don't like that because it just seems. By the way, Gene had complete control of the hotline. Bischoff couldn't tell him what to do on it, but it just seems like over. It just seems like undermine your storyline. You
How
know,
did I wonder why I mean this just shows you how kind of stupid Eric Bischoff is. Like why would you even give somebody a power like that?
because he wanted a raise, and they said instead of a raise, we'll just give you the hotline.
Oh, well that was stupid. He should have just gave him the raise.
Well, he wanted a big raise. So
Uh,
that I don't
well,
think.
well, his decision. Okay, whatever. Okay, that makes sense.
But
Well,
listen, like he says at the sold out pay per view, it's Ted Turner's money. So
yeah, exactly. What an idiot! It's Ted Turner's money. Who the fuck cares, Eric? It's only
uh,
Ted Turner's money when it's convenient for fucking Eric Bischoff. You
I
know
could
that?
see I could see fucking Tony Khan giving the same deal. Like, well, like I don't need like not that there'd ever be a hotline, but well, I don't need the money from this like thing. You just take it. Like, who cares? You know?
Yeah, but that's true. But yeah, you notice that about Eric Bischoff? It's like it's only Ted Turner's money when it's convenient.
Yeah.
You
Well, that's
know?
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a fucking idiot. It's like, oh well, I can't be wasting money like that. When it's like, why didn't you re-sign this guy? But then when it's like, why? Just like, oh, because it's Ted Turner's money. Who cares? It's like, pick one or the other. You fucking hypocrite. Anyways, I guess we got to move on. All
We
right.
got to move.
So DDP joins Mean Gene Okerlund after he plugs the hotline, and he goes, "Yo, I don't know who my opponent's gonna be for tonight. It's a mystery opponent." And DDP starts running down the list of NW members who it could be. And Mean Gene Okerlund's like, "Actually, it's just Buff Bagwell." I was like, "All right, that was a waste of a time."
Me
We're gonna get to
is
that match
here.
later, but before that, we got to do another cruiserweight match. It is match number 2. It's a 6-man tag that Mike Tenay joins on commentary. We got Conan, La Parca, Villano 4 versus Juventud Guerrera, Cicople, which is Cyclops, and Super Calo. He's back. You haven't seen this guy on a pay-per-view in a long time. There is a so Villano and Cicople, they start the match, and then they're kind of slow, and Conan and Hubi get in there. They really pick up the pace. Juventud Guerrera and Conan they have very good chemistry together. Kalor and Parker, they do some dangerous spots on the crazy dangerous spots, like a rolling senton from the ring to the floor. They do this thing where
Did you see the what Sequel Play did the moonsault and just completely missed the other guy?
oh my God, yeah, I'm gonna get to that. These guys, these luchadors, they're going for broke, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like Kalo, he misses. He goes for a splash from the top to the floor, and he misses the splash. He hits the fucking concrete hard, and then fucking La Parca sits him down on a fucking chair, and he does a suicide dive to Kalo on a chair on concrete, and then Seco Play goes up to the top rope to do a moonsault, and he fucking misses completely, and he just lands on concrete. Like he does a moonsault from the top rope of the ring, so that's about like a 10-foot fall, right? That would you would say that's 10 foot from the top of the top
And
turnbuckle
he
to the
and
floor
he
is 10
just completely and the announcer is just kind of like, all right, fucking idiot. Like they don't really put it over. They're just kind of like almost like they're like what a like I feel like they wanted to say what a fucking moron, you know?
Yeah, I can see them trying to want to say that because I also thought he was an idiot for doing it.
It,
I
it,
really
it,
think
made,
he
it
was
made
an
me
idiot.
laugh. It made me laugh though. I like
Oh, it was a brutal fall. It's one of the worst bumps I've ever seen it so far at this point. And then,
it's really funny though. It's because
dude, it's like one of those bumps that even Mick Foley wouldn't do. You
dude,
know?
because he does it with such confidence. Like he like thinks like I got this on lock, and I guarantee you halfway through when he's midair, he's like fuck.
Yeah.
Because
And here's the thing too. This was not his opponent's fault. He
yeah, no.
missed. He missed because his trajectory was way off. Like he did a moonsault to like a whole other area side he shouldn't have been doing. He is slow to get up too. He's really slow getting up.
I don't think I don't yeah, that hurt him.
Yeah, after he gets his partner in, you see he's like just like groggy. He's just like by the apron. I'm like, oh. Anyway, Juventud goes in. He also does a 450 on Villano's head. That was also brutal. Like he fucking did the 450 and he landed on this guy's fucking head. He somehow didn't
Mhm.
hurt the guy. Everybody starts doing group luchador spots, triple dives. Conan finally just does his finishing move, the power drop on Juventud Guerrera to win the match. But when he's got the cover and he's pinning him, Hoovy kicks out early. The referee just still counts the fucking 3. I don't know if you saw that. Juventud kicked out before 3, but the referee just said, fuck it, just counted it. You can see it in the replays, obvious that he kicked out before 3. Hoovy still has to try to get himself over. Even as though there's sloppiness, I gave it a B. It was a fantastic match to watch, though.
I had a great time, and again, one of the things that shows off WCW's strengths. Every match is a different style, and this is a completely different style than the first match. I thought this was a really fun showcase of the luchadors, much better than the one they did at the Royal Rumble '97. And I enjoyed the match tremendously.
Yes.
And
By the way,
the botch added to it.
yeah, that's why I enjoyed this match so much. Yeah. The botches I enjoyed. Quick shout out to the bowl cut kid. We do see him after this match. He's yelling at the camera. Let's go to match number 3, though. We got another somewhat no, it's not a cruiserweight match, but we got a cruiserweight wrestler in there. It is for the television title. We got two cruiserweights in there, though. We got Rey Mysterio versus the television champion Prince Iaukea. Prince Iaukea had upset William Regal to win this title. These two guys go at a good back and forth. Prince Iaukea hits a good top rope crossbody from the top of the turnbuckle to the floor as well. Everybody's doing this move. It's crazy. This move is such a dangerous move. Rey Mysterio does a suicide dive senton through the ropes to the floor. So basically, Prince Iaukea, he's laying on the floor. Rey's in the ring. He bounces off the ropes to get like a running start, and he dives through the ropes. And then he lands back first on Prince Iaukea really hard. It you could tell it knocked the wind out of him. Prince hits an Argentine backbreaker drop off the second turnbuckle when all of a sudden William Regal comes out. William Regal pulls Rey off the apron to the floor. Rey hits his face with that, and then he tosses Rey back into the ring. This is all when Prince Iaukea and both the Prince Iaukea and the referee were distracted, so they didn't see it. When Rey has been thrown back into the ring, Prince Iaukea does cover him for the pinfall victory. Afterwards, Prince realizes that William Regal may have played some nefarious role in his victory. He feels bad, so he gives the television title to Rey. But Rey goes, nah, man, you still beat me. And he gives it back to Prince Iaukea. And William Regal is annoyed at both of them for their sportsmanship. C+.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Iaukea, he's not as bad as people say he is. It does, though, feel like they're trying to recreate The Rock, which is kind of crazy because it's not like The Rock is even over yet. But it feels like the same type of character and push as Rocky Maivia, and Prince Iaukea.
Very good. Yeah, that's very true. Both companies are pushing a somewhat Hawaiian character or a Polynesian islander character. Yeah.
I didn't think this match was. People shit on Prince Iaukea. And while Rey Mysterio's had better matches with better people, I didn't think this was the end of the world. I think a lot of times with people like Iaukea, Alex Wright, we have already seen it happen with Alex Wright. With Alex Wright, Prince Iaukea, and even the Renegade, they give up on these people too early. They get annoyed, and then they're like, you're just a jobber. And if WWE did that with Undertaker and The Rock, where would we be? And I think Iaukea showed promise here, but I just think if they give up on him in a few months, and then that's it. And he never goes anywhere in life.
I agree. He's got promise. They really shouldn't have given up on him early. We go back to Mean Gene Okerlund, and he once again plugs hey, there's a wrestler dining with the NWO. Call the hotline. Find out who it is. Brother. And then after that, the Giant joins Mean Gene. He talks about the NWO. He said, NWO, they're bad drivers. I should have never joined them. When I joined them, I learned a couple of things. Number one, that they're all bad drivers. Number two, they like to play mind games. And he goes, you know what, though? I'm not with them anymore, and I am going to win the tag team titles from them, even if I have to win them alone. Standard promo. Anything you want to add about that promo by the Giant?
No, I mean, it's a good promo. They're smart with who they're giving promo time to on this show. They're not. They're not derailing the show at promo time like they've done in the past. So
Yes. And let's go to our first non-cruiserweight wrestler featured match of the night. Match number 4, Buff Bagwell representing the NWO versus Diamond Dallas Page. To start the match, DDP slaps Buff really hard in the face, and the fans are super behind DDP. Dusty Rhodes, he's got this all marble mouth when he starts talking about DDP in this matchup. I didn't understand some of the stuff Dusty was saying when he was talking in this match. It was like some of it was just not even like complete sentences. It was just really weird.
yeah,
But it kind of added to it because Dusty was just like, I'm like, what? What is this fucking guy saying?
I
Um,
I like when Dusty doesn't make any sense.
yes, no, and I'm that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it fun is when Dusty doesn't make any sense or he's not speaking coherently on commentary. It actually adds to the match in some weird way. Um, Midway through this match, Buff Bagwell, he does start getting the offense in. And he starts putting the heat on Diamond Dallas Page. And then Buff Bagwell shoves the referee. Hey, get out of my way. And the referee gets mad and shoves Buff back. But this time, Buff falls down. And the ref gets in his face. And Buff is doing that chicken shit heel, begging off from the referee. This is a big crowd pleaser. Crowd loves this shit. This is going to be Buff Bagwell's bread and butter move that he does. Buff and DDP, they start going back and forth, back and forth. And then Buff hits his fisherman suplex and he goes, give me a 10 count. I want to count this guy out. And then when he's doing that, DDP gets up and hits his cutter. And then the NWO, all members come out and they all run to the ring, but DDP escapes through the crowd. This is kind of like the second time in a row we're seeing it. We kind of saw this at NWO Sold Out where DDP kind of has the match beat, won, and then the NWO members come out, so he just kind of like runs through the crowd or runs away. It happens here, but instead of DDP losing this match, he actually won it by disqualification, technically, by the referee. Fun. I gave it a B. It's not a cruiserweight match. It's like a storyline match. It's a storyline of DDP versus the NWO, and I think it's progressing very well. I gave it a B. What did you think?
Yeah, it's a storyline match. You're right about that. It doesn't need. I feel like a match like this does need to have a clean finish. And again, my problem with AEW, my main problem with AEW, and it was the same thing with WWE, is that WWE and AEW have house styles. And what I mean by that is AEW kind of has a fucking we need to give Dave Meltzer a hard on every single match. And WWE has this other deliberate style now. They don't deviate from the style. And what I love about WCW is that you have 4 different styles here. And there are fans that like this type of wrestling more so than the cruiserweight stuff. And this is good for them. I think right now Buff Bagwell's on his way. He doesn't get there. DDP, what's crazy about DDP is over the past year, he has changed his presentation every little by little. And now when he walks out, he looks like a legit star. He went from being like this doofus, like he man, what the difference is between him and Eddie Kingston is that when DDP got the push, he removed little things that were cringy, and he started like really changing up what he did to be more of like a main eventer. And Eddie Kingston just gets fat, and I don't know. It's like DDP saw that he's going to get a shot and he took it seriously. And a lot of guys don't. And I appreciate that from him because when I got back into wrestling, I heard he was like a top guy. I'm like, the fucking manager is a top guy. That's fucking
Yeah,
stupid.
I remember this as well. When somebody was like, "Did you know DDP is like a top guy?" I remember thinking like, the guy who was like a gambler or something, like that was his gimmick. He was a gambler. That guy, I was like, I felt the same way too because he didn't change his name. It was still
No.
Diamond Dallas Page. Yeah.
And it's not like he completely changed his look, but he changes little things here and there that let you know you have to take me seriously now,
Yeah. Uh huh. That's like DDP has to be like a case study in a sense, because he's one of the rare like wrestlers that like kept the same name but completely changed their gimmicks, right? And went from like an opening act guy to like a top main event level guy. Not a lot of people have done that. I would even say Triple H is close in the sense, but he technically did change his name. He went from Hunter House Helmsley to Triple H. They never call him Hunter Helmsley. It's just Triple H now, you know? In the graphics, it says Triple H. I don't count Billy Gunn because Billy Gunn never went to the main event level, even though he kept the same name and he changed gimmicks. It's kind of close, but who else did that? Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people. And when you watch the show, you get it. I think, like guy like me, because I didn't get it like up until this day. I didn't get it. A guy like me,
I didn't up until this day. I didn't get it.
because I just tuned back in '98, and I'm just like, he's fighting Goldberg at Halloween Havoc. You're not gonna fucking, you're not gonna have Sting or Roddy Piper. But now I get it. Now I get why he was the guy. When you actually watch the show, you get it. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed it.
You know what it is too? Anybody at this point, I think, could have been having this kind of reactions if they were given the storyline DDP was given, which is like a WCW original going up against NWO, right?
Well,
but
yeah, within reason. I don't know if Stevie Ray got this. If Stevie Ray got the push, I don't know.
No, but I'm saying initially they would have gotten this reaction. Anybody. But you got to give DDP credit where credit is due, because DDP realized what kind of an opportunity this was, and he did make those little changes, like you're mentioning, right? To make sure to make the most out of it, and that's why he maintained being a main event level guy. But to this point, he's still not a main event level guy, right? He's not a main event level guy right now, but he has the crowd behind him, and he does what he has to do to maintain that, and that's what leads to him to be a main event level guy. So good for him. This is by match 4. This is like the prime WCW formula in action. You're getting great cruiserweight matches, and then you're getting great storyline matches. Like, this is that winning formula that we are seeing in action. It's fantastic.
Yep.
After this, we get a shot of the audience as this guy named Keith Phillips from Utah. He won the PlayStation tournament to win a trip to San Francisco to watch this pay-per-view on like front row seats. So good for him. Good job. Let's go to match number 5. It is for the U.S. title belt, featuring 2 more cruiserweight acts, even though it's not a cruiserweight match. Chris Jericho versus the U.S. champion Eddie Guerrero. Good back and forth between these two. However, there are some fans chanting boring during this match. And I'm like, what the fuck? Did you hear that? You heard the boot boring?
Yeah, I think the thing about it is, I think they should have, I don't know. I think, people, a lot of the casuals were really more into the NWO stuff, and they don't know what these guys are going to become. We do, so we enjoy the match. They don't know that Jericho's going to lock Kylie Ray in a hotel room one day. So,
oh Jesus,
they don't appreciate what they're seing. So they're probably like, all right, we already saw like 2 matches like this. Can we get like more NWO bullshit? But yeah, you noticed that.
I've seen 3 matches like this already. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're working their butts off. They got their working shoes on. Chris Jericho hits a springboard splash from the ring to the floor. The crowd can care less. Eddie Guerrero smoothly reverses a vertical suplex into a roll-up, but then eats a super kick that gets nothing from the audience as well. Eddie Guerrero does a head scissors, sunset flip cover to win the match and retain the title. After the match, these guys are both good guys. So Eddie Guerrero, that's another mistake they made, that they're both good guys. It's a good guy facing a good guy. They shouldn't have done that. Eddie Guerrero drapes the belt on Chris Jericho, raises his hand, showing him that he has my respect. This is similar to what Prince IK and Rey Mysterio did. It's too many baby faces versus baby faces. We saw that with Prince IK and Rey. I think that hurt the match. However, from a technical standpoint, I really enjoyed it, even though the crowd wasn't into it. So I'm giving this match a B+. What about you?
Yeah, I like the match. You're right. It's a little bit too similar to the other things. They are putting a lot of time and effort. The thing, they give these cruiserweight guys a lot of fucking time. They've had like 90 minutes of the show. Yeah, you're right a little bit, but I appreciate for what it was. Maybe the time, maybe like if you were watching it live, I would have been like, let's fucking get to some Hogan bullshit. But I appreciate it now. I think it's gotten better with age. However, I do kind of think that, you could have taken out Ray's match or Jericho's match and nothing, and I think the audience would have been fine with it. But you don't need like not you don't need this many like wrestling matches. I'm trying to say, but it was good.
This is the 4 out of 5 matches so far, all cruiserweight matches. Yeah, you know. Maybe they were trying to throw them a bone because they're like, these guys work so hard on television. Let's like put some of them on pay-per-view so they can get pay-per-view money. Maybe that's why they did it, right?
Well, they also know that they also know that like they need all the top guys for the last few matches, and they know that these guys are at least gonna put on a good show.
Yeah, they're gonna eat up time and they'll be nonstop action.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, that makes sense too. All right. So after this match, we're gonna go to a different match. It is match number 6. It is a 3-way tag team match, almost like a triangle match. We got the Faces of Fear, Meng and the Barbarian, who are easily one of my favorite tag teams at this point. Public Enemy, Rocco Rock and Grunge, who come out with a table and a trash can, and versus Harlem Heat, another one of my favorite tag teams of this era, with Sensational Jerry. Rocco Rock is now bald. He shaved his head, and he gets in the ring and he starts the match with the Barbarian. Then after a while, Stevie tags in, and Stevie Ray throws some terrible looking punches. I like Harlem Heat, but Stevie Ray is not good. It's all Booker T. Stevie Ray himself is just not a good wrestler. And he throws some terrible looking punches on Grunge. But then Booker T comes in, does his magic. He does that spin-a-rooney pop up into a kick that the crowd fucking loves. They're super behind Booker T. Meng, he's got dreads on in this match. You know who he looked like with these dreads on?
Who?
Current wrestler today. Who do you look like?
Jacob Fatu.
He did. He looked just like Jacob Fatu. Big, menacing Polynesian guy with dreads. The Faces of Fear, they beat the crap out of Booker T for a long time. Just heat on Booker T for a while. Meng backdrops Booker T into Barbarian for a deadlift powerbomb. This was an amazing show of feat of strength. Look about how big Booker T is. Booker T is no cruiserweight. He's a big fucking guy. And basically Meng backdrops him over his head. Barbarian's supposed to catch him. He catches him, but when he catches him, because of the momentum, Booker T is like down, low to the ring. And he just fucking deadlifts him up and it power bombs him. I was like, damn, Barbarian's a fucking crazy motherfucker. Anyway, the referee gets distracted for a while. And while this is happening, Rocco Rock of the fucking Public Enemy, they did the somersault dive off the top rope onto Barbarian. So picture this. Barbarian just deadlifted, powerbombed Booker T. Then Rocco Rock, he gets up to the top turnbuckle and he does like a somersault dive into Barbarian and he just catches him too. And he's just holding him, but then Grudge does a cross body onto both Rocco and Barbarian for Rocco to cover Barbarian for the win. Afterwards, after this match, by the way, they show some fans in the audience, and they show one of the fans, a lady with huge boobs, and Dusty Rhodes goes, "Whoa!" That's how I felt about this match in general. Whoa! What a good match. B plus. What did you think about this tag team match? Triangle tag team match.
I couldn't get into it.
Really?
This just felt like WCW wasting time. I don't know. I don't like the Public Enemy. I don't know, man. I couldn't get too into it.
Whoa. What don't you like about Public Enemy?
I don't think they're that good, man. I don't know. Like they just I don't know. I wish I could have been more into it, but I can't. I don't know, man. I don't like the triangle rules too in WCW. I don't like that. I don't like the rules. It takes away. It takes away. Goose.
Interesting. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, this was maybe like from a work rate point of view, it's not the worst match, but for me, in terms of my interest, I found it to be the worst match.
Oh no! This is not the worst match. Okay. All right, so we see things very differently in this. I was not a Public Enemy fan until I started watching their WCW stuff 1996, 1997. I did before we started doing these watches.
Now you're getting into them.
I was not a Public Enemy fan, but now I like. You know what I like about them? They are the sloppy tag team.
Mm-hmm.
They're unapologetically the sloppy tag team. They know they're sloppy. They know that's why they need the fucking table, dude. That's why they need the table. That's why they need the trash can. They're not a good tag team. I think they know it, and they'll never be in like serious title matches and shit. They're always in these crazy matches where you're just gonna have guys hard hitting and stuff like that. So that's why I'm starting to appreciate them because I appreciate the role that they have to play. So I liked it, but to each their own. What do you think about that fan with the huge boobs?
I mean, she should have won the match.
Yeah, yeah. Fair point. Fair point. I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Let's move right along. We got a grudge match coming up, Ray. Grudge matches are always a lot of fun. This is match number 7. It's Mongo representing the Horsemen with Deborah McMichael versus Jeff Jarrett. There's a fan who has a sign that says, "I'm prettier than Deborah" sign. The commentary team starts talking about Deborah. We talked about Sable looking really good in 1997 when she's young. She's got a gorgeous face. You could say the same thing about Deborah. Deborah, when she was like in 1997, like she looked amazing, right? Did you not? Do you agree or no?
She's good. She's good. I like Sable and Sunny a bit more. She's good. I think she becomes hotter in WWE.
Deborah?
Yeah.
No, when Deborah was in WWF, I never found her hot until I really didn't. I didn't think she was hot at all.
I think she was hot. I mean, but honestly, like if we're gonna list like in terms of hotness, every woman in wrestling, she's not in the top 20 or 30.
Okay.
In terms of who I find attractive, and if we're talking about like every woman who's ever been in wrestling,
That's true. Yeah. Sapphire's number 1 for you, right?
You know what? No, it's Vicky Guerrero, and I what really turned me on when she like treated her daughter like shit. I thought that was great. And hurt your children. Yeah, that's so hot.
Speaking of treating like shit, the fans in this match treated Jeff Jarrett like shit. They are booing Jeff Jarrett. They do not like Jeff Jarrett. They cheer everything Mongo is doing. And to Mongo's credit, man, when Mongo passed away earlier this year, I was listening to people like do career retrospectives on him, and they were all like, Mongo, not a good wrestler. Not a good wrestler.
Fuck everyone who thinks this guy wasn't a good wrestler.
Yeah.
This guy, considering what they fucking did, how they just threw him in without any training, was a fucking great wrestler. Are you kidding me? I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know what you're talking about if you think this guy was a bad wrestler. I'm not saying this guy was like fucking,
we're not
Chris.
Saying he's Will Ospreay. Yeah, we're not saying he's Will Ospreay or Bret Hart. No.
This guy was doing commentary, and then you just made him a wrestler, and you gave him like 2 lessons, and then you said to him, now you got to wrestle the Faces of Fear at Halloween Havoc. I think he does a really fucking good job. I mean, what do you want? They didn't give this guy any guidance. What do you want from this guy? I think he just did great.
Yeah, when I'm watching these pay-per-views and I'm like, all those people who said, "Oh, he wasn't great," go fuck yourself. You don't have no idea what you're talking about. I dare you to watch this match of Mongo versus Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett, and tell me you were not entertained. Remember, the whole point of wrestling is to
Mhm,
entertain you, right? And if
mhm.
you're telling me you do not find this match entertaining, then you're fucking full of shit, okay?
You know what the worst thing happened in wrestling, the worst thing I think, just is Dave Meltzer, because
Yes.
he does not understand wrestling. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand anything about wrestling. He has a very narrow view of what is good wrestling, and he's poisoned people because people take his word as gospel of what makes good wrestling and what doesn't make good wrestling. And
Yeah.
Steve McMichael is good. He is good.
Yeah. He is good for somebody who got the amount of training he did. He like picked it up so naturally, you
He
know?
has he carries himself on charisma, but that's a lot of what wrestling is.
Yes, absolutely. You don't believe me? Ask Hulk Hogan, the guy who made the most amount of money and had the most amount of influence in the business. Okay, if you tell me that Will Ospreay is a better pro wrestler than Hulk Hogan, we do not have to have a conversation anymore because you do not understand how pro wrestling works. Okay, but anyway,
You know,
we got to get back to this match. Mongo hits a great, he hits a really good chop block on Jeff Jarrett, and he's beating on Jeff, but Deborah stops Mongo from attacking Jeff Jarrett on the floor. And this distraction allows Jeff Jarrett to start putting the stretch on Mongo. But when he's doing that, he starts holding onto the rope, and Deborah knocks Jeff Jarrett's hand off the rope. So it seems like Deborah is just trying to make sure both guys are playing fair. Mongo starts choking Jeff Jarrett with a towel, and he throws him into the rail. He really hates Jeff Jarrett. Um, Mongo kicks out of a cover, and then Jeff hits the when he kicks out of the Jeff Jarrett cover, he kind of like shoves Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff Jarrett kind of hits the referee's eyes by accident, and the referee's kind of blinded. While the referee is blinded, Mongo turns to Deborah and he goes, "Give me the case. Give me that briefcase I've been holding, the money in the bank briefcase." And Deborah doesn't want to do it. Deborah doesn't want to do it, but he demands it. So she just turns around and she goes, "I'm just going to throw it over my head." Deborah throws it over her head. She throws it up too high over Mongo. Jeff Jarrett gets the case. He hits Mongo with the case instead and tosses the evidence aside. Deborah looks to the camera and she winks at the camera, kind of like, "I know what I was doing." Jeff Jarrett covers Mongo to win the match and become a horseman because that was what was on the line. He is now a horseman. I
He's
gave
not.
this.
He's
He
not.
will be.
Because they said, are there going to be 5 horsemen or are they going to kick somebody out? They never kick anybody out. The horsemen
Mm.
are Arn, Rick, McMichael, and Chris Benoit. And when Arn retires, he gives his spot, because there's 4 horsemen, he gives his spot to fucking Kurt Hennig, who is a horseman until he turns on them for the NWO. So I don't know what the answer was the next night because Tony Schiavone says, are they going to become the 5 horsemen or are they going to kick someone out? They never kick anyone out, and they were never known as the 5 horsemen. So
Okay, that's fair. Regardless of whether or not you think Jeff Jarrett is a horseman or not, this is an entertaining match, storyline wise. The crowd, you know who else thought this was an entertaining match? The fucking crowd. They were into it. They loved the finish. I gave this a B plus. Ray, what did you think about this match?
I loved it. Listen, you know me. I think Jeff Jarrett has a stench of failure on him. He
Exactly. Yeah.
but this match was great, and I think the reason why this match was so good was mainly Mongo McMichael.
See, that
You can
means a lot. You don't like Jeff Jarrett, and even not liking Jeff Jarrett for you to say this is an entertaining match shows that he's not even being biased. You know?
no, it's just Mongo had it, and Jeff Jarrett doesn't. And if Mongo had training and he had people that actually cared about him, who knows what he could have done? Who knows what he could have done? But he's dead, and you killed him. So that's it.
Well, okay, it takes two to tango, but okay, we have to move along. Um, let's go to our eighth match. Man, you really don't like Jeff Jarrett. It's just like I don't know. Who do you? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who do you hate more, Jeff Jarrett or Tony Khan?
Well, I think my problem with Jeff Jarrett is that I think, is the reason why we need AEW. I think TNA could have gotten a lot farther if Jeff Jarrett wasn't on top. Now, Jeff Jarrett is they were the only ones willing to take the risk, and they found the financing, and they got Dixie Carter, and it was able to last until this day, which is great. But it was always a joke. It was never taken seriously, and Jeff Jarrett never should have been the focus of TNA. I stopped buying that. I said in 2001, I'm going to support the next WCW. I don't care how bad it gets. And I was buying every week the TNA pay-per-views until a year in, Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo were all over the main events. And I can't do it. I was like, I just can't do it. I can't watch this guy. He's a fucking loser. And I think he was very selfish, and people associated him with the failure of WCW. So when they saw him fighting DDP and they saw him fighting Kevin Nash and Raven in the main events, I think people were like, this is just more this is more 2000 bullshit. They didn't even give it a chance. And I think that if the main events of the early TNA were all about Scott Hall and Ken Shamrock, those were the featured stars, I think it would be a lot different. And and then Jeff Jarrett comes into AEW, right? And it's he's supposed to make sure they have house shows. He's going to create the house show, Mark.
Yeah. He wasn't even brought in to be a wrestler. Oh, yeah.
And he's on the show. He's in a feud with Hangman Adam Page. People are like, well, Hangman Adam Page just finally got his groove back. Yeah, they had him for like months fighting Jeff Jarrett. He's fucking feuding with Jeff Jarrett at Wembley Stadium, bro. And this guy, and I'm like, here's the thing, man. It's a bad look. It is such a bad look for AEW to have Jeff Jarrett on the team, because he was a failure. TNA was a company of failures when he was the star of it. And now people are like, you have fucking like, the fucking, you gotta watch AEW. You have like these fans saying to like, lapsed fans, yeah, AEW is really good. AEW is really good. And you put it on. Bro, my friend said he put it on and he saw Jeff Jarrett talking the ring and he shut it off and did something else with his day. Like, it's like, Jeff Jarrett, you're a failure. You're a fucking failure. You don't want to admit it. Just admit you never were what you thought you were. I don't like. So yeah, I don't like Jeff Jarrett. The minute Samoa Joe got hot in 2005, the main events should have always been Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. Jeff Jarrett should have off TV. Instead, Jeff Jarrett's just hanging around, and it's like, I don't think they ever recovered from those first few years where Jeff Jarrett was the main guy. They never ever recovered. To this day, they didn't recover. And
so you hate Jeff Jarrett more than Tony Khan?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
It's very, very selfish. And you know what? Maybe you have the right to be selfish. You're the person who found the money mark and Dixie Carter. You're the person who's willing to take the risk. You risked all your money. Maybe you have the right to be selfish. That's one argument. My other argument is that you are delusional and you're selfish, and wrestling would be in a better place if you were willing to take a step back and make other people the stars of your company.
So for you to like this match of Jeff Jarrett versus Mongo and find it entertaining, shows that's not a biased take at all. That's very important. Good stuff. Yeah. All right. Let's move right along. Let's go to match number 8. Number 8. This was a San Francisco death match. We got Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, who comes out with Jackie, Miss Jacqueline from WWF. Well, she will go on to WWF to become Jacqueline, but here she's Jackie. Taskmaster comes out with Jackie and Jimmy Hart, because of course Jimmy Hart. And he's going to be fighting his mortal enemy, Chris Benoit, who comes out with Woman. And Woman, Nancy Benoit, and Jackie, they're going to be strapped together, right? And they're in the ring strapped together. And the women are looking at each other. Benoit and Taskmaster are looking at each other, and everyone just starts fighting. Everyone just starts. The women start fighting. The men start fighting. The fans love it. The fans are cheering. The women start fighting outside the ring. They come back in the ring. Woman starts whipping Jackie with the strap that gets a big crowd. The big crowd pleaser. Crowd loves it. Taskmaster though sees this and he shoves woman away, but then he gets crotched by the strap by a woman. But then Jackie takes the strap and she starts whipping Chris Benoit hard, and then Chris Benoit gets hung up on the ropes. Jackie though turns around and she kicks Chris Benoit in the balls, and then both women start attacking each other men. The commentary team loves this action. The crowd loves this action. The commentary team is just laughing at everything that's happening. Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan, they start doing the walking brawl where they start walking and fighting through the crowd to the parking lot area as the women keep fighting in the ring. Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit, they fight back to the ring. Taskmaster hits the Tree of Woe and a double stomp, and he tries to go for the double stomp, but the woman stops him. Chris Benoit sets up a table. He puts Kevin Sullivan on it, and he goes up on the top, but then Jackie lays on top of Kevin Sullivan to protect him, but Chris Benoit don't give a fuck. Chris Benoit murders women. He don't care. He goes up on the top rope, and he splashes both Jackie and Kevin Sullivan, but a table doesn't break, so he just squashes those two on the hardwood table, and the crowd cheers. They fucking love this. They all fall down off the table. Chris Benoit covers Taskmaster underneath the table. The referee's like, I don't know, they're on whatever, fuck it, I'm just gonna count. And he counts the finish for Chris Benoit to win this match. After this match is over, Arn Anderson comes out and he just starts shaking his head in disappointment, like he's disappointed in Chris Benoit. The referee comes out, all these referees come out, and they're just like, Chris Benoit, Kevin Sullivan, and Jackie, they're just not getting up. They're all just hurt real bad. They're laid out. Paul Orndorff comes out. Lee Marshall comes out. Terry Taylor come out. They're all agents who produces the show. They're all in suits. They come out and check the three. And they're like, dude, we got to call out 3 stretchers because they're hurt real bad. They're still selling, guys. And they put all 3 of them on a stretcher, and they take out 2 ambulances. They go. This match I gave an A. This is a must-watch match for all wrestling fans because this is how you do. I don't know. This is just like a really good match. I was surprised at how good this match was. How did you feel, Ray?
This was a great match. It was smart. Dude, you know what I loved about this match? I thought the women were going to fight for 2 seconds and then go to the corners. Instead, it's like, okay, if anything goes, and I don't like this bitch, and this bitch doesn't like me, let's fucking go at it too. Like, whatever. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't like you. And I love it because so many, 99% of matches like this, the 2 women would have just stood there. Would have just stood there, like fucking, and not get in the action. And the women added a lot to it. There's constant action. The great thing when the men, because I don't know if they had a screen or whatever, but when the men are in the back, if you're in the arena, you're watching the women beat the shit out of each other. There's stuff going on. That's what dude, I love this shit where there's always something going on everywhere you look. Because WWE doesn't, a lot of companies don't do that anymore. You know, they would have, you know what they would have done nowadays? Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit would have been lying on the ground outside, and then the women would have came in and done 3 minutes of spots, and then they would have lied on the ground, and then Benoit and Kevin Sullivan would have done the finish. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But the fact that everyone is constantly moving, it just makes it a very more realistic fight. And then the finish, I love the finish. I love the fact that she protects him. He hits the move. You know, fucking Will Ospreay and AEW have fucking damaged my brain so much that I thought they were going to kick out and it was going to be like another 10 minutes of the match. And the fact that it was like that, and I'll tell you, man, you know, the ref is like just like there. He's just like you don't really notice him. And when he makes that face, like, what the fuck am I doing in my life? And then he does the 3 count. That's how a ref adds to a match and like without getting themselves over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like that's an
yeah.
Audrey Edwards moment done right. This whole thing was fantastic. The one thing I will say though, do you think this is where Benoit got the idea of how to murder Nancy? Because it's choking and straps. And, he chokes.
Oh, yeah, he chokes Jackie. Yeah, probably. This is such. All the points you made were very good, and I think, and I agree with all of them. And I would say this is a match that people need to watch. If you're a
Yeah.
wrestler and you're in wrestling business, you should watch this match because this is a good match to learn how to put a story together, right?
Mhm.
And how minimum selling, like not minimum like doing crazy shit, and it's all about selling is important. Do we owe Kevin Sullivan an apology?
Not yet. He's doing great
What do
stuff.
you mean? This was fantastic. This was fantastic. This was pretty good.
Listen, Kevin Sullivan with Benoit is fantastic. Kevin Sullivan with Hulk Hogan, not so much. I think
Yeah.
Sullivan has adjusted himself. There's a Nitro where the NWO just annihilate him, and it was around Fall Brawl. And ever since that Nitro, he's been a lot better because I think they addressed that he has no chance against Hulk Hogan and the fucking outsiders. So he's moved on to this. But yeah, so he's made an adjustment. He knows now he knows now his strengths, and it's working tremendously. I would say do a match like this again. I think they're terrified. I think, like, for example, like, I don't know. Well, didn't Will Ospreay's girlfriend just get hired, his wife or whatever?
I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah, his
Okay.
fiance. I think that they think that, like, if you did a similar spot, then Will Ospreay didn't kick out, would make him weak. I don't think so. I think that this match was the right amount, and I've seen everything under the sun at this point. And this match, I still believed. I still believed because both guys and both women know what they're doing. And that's all you need. You don't need to jump off a cage 57 times. Just jump off it once and make it fucking count, like Benoit did.
By the way, Will Ospreay's fiance Alex Windsor, she is signed with AEW. So just a correction on that. You know what they should do?
But
Aaliyah Mysterio should have a match like this.
Leave Mysterio. She's not a wrestler.
Neither was Nancy Sullivan.
Well, no, Nancy had a little bit of training. Remember, she was
a little bit. You know, you can't have a female wrestler have like this kind of match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could have like a Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan in the background. You could do this.
I would rather see someone who's not supposed to be a wrestler do it. But anyway,
but dude, this is really great. It's probably the best thing I've ever seen Nancy Sullivan do. The problem with this match, with everything, is like you just think about how it all ends, and you're like,
yeah, that is sad. And I think I do owe me personally. Even if you want a minute, I feel like I owe Kevin Sullivan apology because that was fantastic.
Not time yet. It's not time yet, Oos.
All right. After this match, we get an uncensored promo commercial with Hugh Morris in jail, not Alcatraz, but some kind of jail, and he's talking crazy. And he better be on the uncensored pay-per-view if they're using him for the fucking commercial. I'm like thinking, I was like seeing Hugh Morris. I was like, is he on the fucking pay-per-view? Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out next week or something. Let's go to our ninth match. This is for the tag team titles. We got the Outsiders, Kevin Sullivan, not Kevin Sullivan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, the Outsiders, versus with Six, by the way. They come out first. This part was so funny to me. So the Outsiders are the tag team champions, right? You got Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. They come out with Six, and Scott Hall has a shirt that says Aztecas on it. And Dusty Rhodes goes, look at that shirt. It says Alcatraz. and both Brain and Tony are like, no, it doesn't. They're just like baffled that he reads Alcatraz, right? From that shirt. By the way, if you guys are wondering what Aztecas was, I looked this up because Six, I think, has that shirt too that says Aztecas. And I was like, what is this? Aztecas was originally a lucha libre promotion called Promel. It was created by Fuerza Guerrera, who is Juventud Guerrera's father, who we saw in that Survivor Series, right? In WWF. Remember that guy?
Mhm.
Yeah, so this was his promotion in 1995, and this was a small indie promotion that worked with AAA, which is working with WCW. Conan bought Promel from Furza Guerrero in 1996, and he changed the name of it to Aztecas. And he had WCW luchadors working in his company, right?
Mhm.
Um, and on a per night deal, and they also had television backing, and they had connection to WCW, so it drew a lot of lucha libre talent from both AAA and CMLL to be like, we want to work with this company. Like people like Val Venus, Atlantis, they wanted to join this promotion. They say that Aztecas was akin to ECW. It was like the third promotion that was like an indie promotion that had a lot of fucking like noise and had a lot of fucking fire behind it. But the only difference was, unlike ECW, they had television tape. They had television. They had a television deal. However, what happened? This is the reason why. And you probably never heard of this Aztecas, have you?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of this before. And the reason why was because it was very short lived. Because WCW, they're going to say, we don't want any of our luchadors wrestling over there because we don't want them to get hurt. So we're just pulling all our stars from Aztecas. And this caused Aztecas to only last for 2 years. But I thought it was interesting that Scott Hall and Six is wearing these shirts because that means they're already like liking Conan. They're already probably hanging out with Conan and stuff at this point, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was interesting because the other thing that's interesting about it is they're in the NWO. Maybe they made an appearance at the promo stuck around this era. Maybe they went down there.
Yeah, that's right. They're not wearing NWO shows. They're wearing this shirt, so maybe that's true. Conan is eventually going to join the NWO, but I could already tell that these guys like Conan. Um,
Oh,
anyway,
that,
the
that's all.
Outsiders are fighting just the Giant because he has no tag team partner. Scott Hall starts the match, and he starts the match by spitting on the Giant, and he tags in Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash drop kicks. The Giant drop kicked Kevin Nash out the ring, which gets a big pop from the crowd because it's cool watching this giant dude do a drop kick. Giant rams Kevin Nash into a ring post, and Six hits Giant with the belt behind the referee, and the Giant almost loses the match. Fans start chanting for Luger, 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 as the Six jumps hits a jumping back kick on the Giant on the ropes. While Giant on the ropes, he misses though, but whatever. Giant starts fighting back, even though he's getting triple teamed, and he throws Six onto Kevin Nash. But then he gets hit by the belt again, and then he gets power bombed by Kevin Nash. That was impressive. Were you impressed by that power bomb?
Yeah, that was good.
The fans start cheering for this power bomb because it's crazy. Kevin Nash power bombed the Giant, and they're like, "Holy shit! We just watched this guy power bomb the Giant." But Kevin Nash also goes down because when he did that power bomb, he hurt his back. He's like, "Oh, I can't get up." So both men are down. Kevin Nash is down, Giant's down. When all of a sudden, Lex Luger comes out. Lex Luger comes out, and as he's coming out, Eric Bischoff's getting in his way. He's like, no, 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 Lex, you can't do this. You can't do this. You got to go back. He just tucks Eric Bischoff out of the way. Lex Luger's not in his gear. He's got regular clothes on. He's got a cast on his arm, but he tags in. He beats everybody up with his cast, and then he puts Kevin Nash in his torture rack to win the match. The referee is going crazy, going, ring the bell, ring the bell. The crowd's going crazy. Giant gets up. He choke slams Scott Hall for good measure and covers him as well. Giant and Lex Luger are tag team champions. This was a good storyline match. I gave it a B. What did you think, Ray?
Yeah, it was great. It was the fans. Notice the biggest pops when the NWO gets their comeuppance. Like you can talk about the NWO being so popular, so cool. people cheer the most when the NWO looks like idiots. And man,
Yeah.
the pop for Luger on this show and the way he like just he just goes like fuck you, Eric Bischoff, and runs to the ring and they win the match. He's getting bigger pops in February '97 than Steve Austin, than Bret Hart, than The Undertaker, than Shawn Michaels, than pretty much everybody in wrestling. And it is so fucking depressing how everyone goes. Dude, I was listening to again, I'm a year behind on these shows. Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and they're talking about SummerSlam '94, and he's saying like Luger was a horrible babyface. Nobody liked him as a babyface, and I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, you fat fucking loser. Like this guy, like you just don't know what you're doing with him. Like none of you do. And man, this guy's so over. And it's crazy. You know what's crazy? Because I get back in the WCW in March of '98. He's not getting pops like this back then. It's over already. The way they fuck this guy. I mean, it's your fault, Andrew. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you pointed that out. It is, the crowd does cheer the most when that's why they like DDP. It's like when they like NWO, but they like it a lot more when NWO is getting what's due to them and they look like idiots. And I feel like the only person who doesn't realize this is Eric Bischoff. You know?
Yeah, and I think, Hogan eventually like takes advantage of it, but I think Hall and Nash are like, when the time is right, make us look like idiots, like make us look stupid. And Bischoff thinks like the NWO is the reason why it's working, and it is. But people want to cheer for WCW, and they beat that out of people. They beat the ability to love WCW out of people over the course of the next year. But man, oh man, there's so many pieces in place to just destroy Vince McMahon, and I can't believe they didn't do it. All right, let's keep.
That's why that's why he's an idiot, dude. Because this is why Eric Bischoff's an idiot. Because he is given like victory on a silver platter, right? What did you say? He's given victory on a silver platter, and it's like Eric Bischoff just like fucking slapped the fucking platter away. He's like, I don't want it. I don't want it. It's just like, you're fucking stupid, dude.
Dude,
like,
dude, what was I gonna say about this fucking thing? What was I gonna say? Dude, there's so many ways to go where this NWO storyline could go for years. There's so many different ways to go, and they don't do it. And the other thing too, like I'm watching this, I don't know how Vince McMahon doesn't want to just strangle Shawn Michaels. That he's pulling this while this company is on such a fucking roll. He's pulling it. Smooth.
Yeah, that's what makes it even worse. You're in the shitter, and while your competition is doing so great, and your top employee is throwing a fucking hissy fit.
Yeah, and bro, like fucking they just had everything in place. They had everything in place. Well, you know what? When we get to the next match, shit starts getting. We can already see where it was going to go south. So let's go to the main event.
So
as much as I love Hulk Hogan, there's a lot wrong with this match.
So Ray, I would say I've been thoroughly enjoying this pay-per-view so far. Superbrawl, right? 6, 7, whatever the number it is. Until I got to this point. And it was like, and you know what? After I watched this match and I realized, I remembered I'm watching WCW. That's what I remembered. Let's go to our 10th and final match, the main event for the WCW World Title. The champion Hulk Hogan. He comes out with Ted DiBiase, Vincent, and out comes his opponent, Piper. Piper with his same clothes that he was wearing in Alcatraz. Hulk Hogan stalls a lot getting into the ring, and he goes, you know what? Forget this. This is beneath me. I don't want to wrestle. And he starts walking away, and Piper attacks him from behind in the aisle, and he goes, no, you're not running away from this. And he brings him to the ring, and then he low blows him, and he chokes him with the shirt. He bites him. He hits him with a chair. He's doing everything but wrestling moves on Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, though, low blows Roddy Piper, who fucking no sells it. He no sells the low blow. Michael Wall Street comes out. Vincent, they both get on the apron. They both get knocked down by Piper. Piper eye pokes Hogan to cheers. He crotches Hulk Hogan on the top rope as Randy Savage, who is now in black and white gear, no longer those colorful Slim Jim colors. He's wearing black and white. He comes out with Sting, who's also in black and white, and they're standing by the entranceway. And Sting decides, you know what? I've seen enough. I'm gonna go back. He starts walking back, but Savage goes, you know what? No. And he starts walking towards the ring, and he's like, I'm gonna stand by ringside. As fans start chanting, "We want Sting! We want Sting!"
What was crazy to me about, this is when I wondered if they had a screen. Nobody pops when Savage walks out, but they pop when Sting walks out. Like no reaction to Savage walking out, which I thought was very interesting. But they want Sting. They don't give a shit about this Savage thing. That's the other thing. Like they want Sting to do something at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan starts beating on Roddy Piper. He spits on Roddy Piper and he puts him in a bear hug. Hogan hits Piper with another low blow, who no sells it again.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Piper. And then he puts Hulk Hogan in a sleeper and Hulk Hogan passes out because Hulk Hogan's willing to fucking work with this fucker. Piper wins.
This is where it gets fucking. This is where it gets haywire. This is where
it gets fucking stupid. Yeah. So Piper wins, and then Savage pulls Hulk Hogan's legs under the ropes. After the ref had already called for the bell, saying, "Oh, Hulk Hogan passed out. The match is over." The referee turns around and he sees Hulk Hogan's legs underneath the rope, when clearly they weren't before. When you were fucking watching this guy pass out, and the ref goes, "Oh no, Hulk Hogan's feet are under the ropes. I'm gonna have to reverse this call." And he's going like,
in a way, the live audience has no idea what's going on because they pop for Piper winning. They're all in, and then Savage does this half-hearted leg pull, and then Savage gives. I could tell Savage didn't want to do any of this. By the way, I don't know if you noticed how Savage was just not into this. Savage hands fucking Hogan the thing, and then Hogan gets up. They start fighting, and nobody knows what's going on because the referee doesn't make some big gesture to be like, "We got to restart the match." The Dave Penzer doesn't say like, "Hey, you know what? Actually, Hogan's
no announcement." Yeah.
So the match now is just continuing, and people rather than booing or cheering, they're just like, "What?" They don't know what to make.
They're very confused. The audience is very confused because it's all really fast. It all happens really fast too. Yeah. The referee reverses the call. No announcement is made. And as this is happening, Savage gives Hulk Hogan the brass knucks, as Ray mentioned, who Hogan hits Piper with the brass knucks, covers him for the win. Afterwards, Savage takes the brass knuckles back. He has joined the NWO, and Savage hits Piper with the brass knucks, sprays Piper with the NWO, hits his flying elbow on Piper. Hulk Hogan hits his leg drop on Piper. It's too much. It's too much. It's overkill. The fans don't even know what the fuck's going on.
It's handled. I thought it was handled terribly. Like you would think this is a layup. This is like an easy layup. Rematch. Savage turns on WCW. Wow, that's a great twist. That's an easy fucking thing. They overcomplicate it so much that nobody gives a fuck when Savage does it. Like that's it. Like I'm looking at the ring and I'm like, bro, Ted DiBiase now is controlling an evil version of the Mega Powers. Dude, that is like end of the world shit. Imagine that's how you end like Survivor Series 88. Savage and Hogan turn heel and they're working for DiBiase. Like, just imagine, like, oh my God, is Jake the Snake going to step up? Is Andre going to turn good again? Like, what's going to, like, it's crazy. That's like everything, like, kids are in shock. And now it doesn't even matter because they fuck it up so much. The announcers aren't putting over, like, they're not even really reacting to Savage turning heel. Hogan goes in the camera and just starts talking about the outsiders. He's already like kind of like shoving Macho Man to the side. Like he goes, the outsiders, Hollywood, and the madness. Instead of being like, we're back together, we're gonna destroy. Like this is a big deal. Like the mega powers are heels. This is a big deal, and he's not treating it like that. He's treating it like he's that Macho Man's Michael Wall Street. Macho Man suddenly is now going too sweet. You know what would have been better to me? What would have been better to me? This is what I would have done. All right. Savage is standing there and he's conflicted. He doesn't know what to do. And Bischoff brings out Miss Elizabeth. And Miss Elizabeth tells him, we can be together, but you have to sign with the NWO. And she kisses him on the cheek or something. And that convinces Savage, because Savage is so obsessed with Elizabeth that he decides, and because now he knows that he can be with Elizabeth again, it's almost like a perverted twisting of WrestleMania 7. Because if we're going to keep fucking following WWE storylines, so now Savage has turned to the dark side for Elizabeth. He doesn't really want to help out the NWO. He just wants to be with Elizabeth again. So he destroys Piper, and he destroys him, and he tells Piper, like, I'll do anything for this fucking whore. And and then you establish, because then you build it up that eventually Savage is going to turn on the NWO. But now he's with them. So it's the only way he can be with Elizabeth is to be with that's how I would have done.
That's not bad. That would have made more sense. I would have liked that better.
And that's why Savage goes nuts, because he's like, finally, all the shit is over. I'm with her again. If I gotta be with you, Hogan, fine, whatever. But no, it just doesn't make any sense. It ruins Savage. Now, people do enjoy him in the NWO. People love his outfits in the NWO. It's one of Savage's best outfits, but it's not good. And the thing about it is the crowd, because Tony Schiavone explains it, but he kind of half-hearted explains it. The crowd is left very confused because there literally is no reason. If you're sitting there and there's no reason, there's no announcement, no one tells you why Hogan pinned Piper. Nobody. So now you leave the show feeling like a fucking idiot. So all the hard work everyone did is in the garbage now because of this awful fucking finish.
Yeah. I gave this match a C+. This was a terrible way to end a great pay-per-view. Typical WCW, where even though you can never get that 100% perfect landing, and
this
terrible ending, just terrible fucking ending.
WWF eventually defeats them though, because they do too many pay-per-views with awful endings, and WWF delivers all the time on their main events. And that's how because I don't know if you noticed that Final Four, Jim Ross keeps screaming that nobody does main events like WWF, and he hammers that home. That like, yeah, you may have a good undercard with a bunch of people you don't give a fuck about, but the match you give a fuck about is going to be a 5-star affair, and that's how they beat him. When it matters the most, the matches deliver in WWF, and that starts around here.
Yep, I agree. So overall, watch the entire pay-per-view, especially those two matches that we talked about, where the Kevin Sullivan match against Chris Benoit. I would 100% recommend people watch that. Also, Eddie Guerrero versus Six. This is Dean Malenko versus Six. This is the second Six match that I'm like, it's a must-watch, right? Because Eddie Guerrero versus Six was a must-watch in my opinion. Don't watch the main event. It was going to put a bad taste in your mouth.
I mean, unless you want a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, unless you want a bad taste in your mouth.
See, it is good to see this because you're understanding why they're going to lose, and they're going to lose so fucking bad. It's like there's like every time I watch these shows, I'm like, how could they have lost? We get to the main event, and I'm like, that's how.
Yeah.
But Hogan's still a better heel than John Cena. All right, now. The next 4 weeks, Andrew, you ready?
Yep.
Next week, Roddy Piper has a chance for revenge, I guess, in a weird sort of way. When they do Uncensored 97, it's Team NWO versus Team WCW versus Team Piper in a triangle Survivor Series style match. We'll see what happens with that. Then in 2 weeks, it's WrestleMania 13. It is Sid versus Undertaker. Then in 3 weeks, it's Spring Stampede 97, where the new king of the NWO, Macho Man, takes on DDP. Then in 4 weeks, this battle between WWE, WWF, and WCW goes to the extreme because ECW Barely Legal is finally here. We are
Oh,
in a month. We're finally in ECW. Main event of that: Terry Funk versus Raven. What are you looking forward to?
oh, Barely Legal. I never watched the full pay-per-view.
I'm excited to talk about ECW with you. I'm excited to start talking about that because ever since Sabu died, I have a lot that I want to really talk about with that place, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun. It's fun now that they're in. Now it feels like wrestling's hot again. Now that we got 3 companies, 3 full-time companies.
Yeah,
I had this
I'm
before.
excited.
So who do you think won in February? WWE, WCW? I see WCW.
Yeah, 100%. Come on.
Right. So let's do. So WCW has June, July, August, September, October, December, February. So they 7. WWF has 2, and there's 1 draw. So
Yeah,
7.
there was one draw. Dude, it's a fucking the landslide already still.
Yeah, it's still. So we'll see what happens next month's WrestleMania. All right, guys, that is the show. Please subscribe to us. Please, do not bomb Iran, and we will see you next time where we're gonna get uncensored. I mean, we're already pretty uncensored, but we get even more uncensored next week. So we'll see you then. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.